Right now at 6, flag on the play. An incident occurs following the Webb City Joplin football game Friday night. Plus, cosplayers unite. The first ever JomoCon took place today. We'll take you there. Also, Fall Festival. The Barn in Pittsburgh held its annual Fall Festival. We'll tell you what made this year's festival so important. And new details. The Pentagon releases more information regarding a drone strike against members of ISIS-K.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
An incident occurred following the Webb City Joplin football game Friday night in Webb City. Now, there are a number of stories passing around on social media. However, KOAM has been able to confirm some of what happened last night. Now, in this video from Twitter, members of the Joplin football team can be seen running down the field with the Eagle flag while being chased by members of the Webb City football team. Now, after the group gets together, a referee throws a flag and the group is separated. At this time, we've not been able to confirm the events that immediately followed what you see in the video. However, representatives from both districts did provide some information. Justin Crawford with the Joplin School District told us in a phone call that after the game, emotions were high, and in excitement, a couple of Joplin players got carried away in their celebration. The district wants to ensure they display good sportsmanship and will follow school policies as appropriate to handle the situation. He adds that both districts have communicated with each other and are working things out. Amanda Robbins with Webb City also replied to a request for information, telling us, quote, "We are really still investigating the events from last night, taking inventory of district property, and are determining what events actually occurred opposed to rumor." She added the district should have a better understanding of the entire situation on Monday. Now, Justin Crawford added that after speaking with administrators with the district, to their knowledge, no Joplin students were injured following the game. We also received a response from the Webb City Police Department. Webb City Police Chief Donald Melton tells us the department was dispatched to 3 skirmishes on the parking lot of the high school football stadium after the game. Chief Melton says officers working security at the game were able to de-escalate the situations. However, the chief added they are investigating an alleged assault that occurred off campus in the area of the high school over a parking complaint. Chief Melton adds they'll be contacting the district on Monday to see if there are any other incidents they have not yet been made aware of. A one-vehicle crash in Cherokee County has claimed the life of an Alabama man. The Kansas Highway Patrol says just after 11 Friday morning, 79-year-old Clonnie Smith of Coker, Alabama, was driving east on Baghdad Road when his car left the roadway. The rear end struck a tree, causing the car to spin 180 degrees and crash into another tree. Another hot one across the area, but hopefully relief on the way, maybe. Nick Kelly joins us.
Yeah, even though it was hot once again today, Chris, we've continued just slow downward trend in temperatures today, despite the fact that we did hit a high of 93 degrees. That being said, they have seen the heat and humidity result in a few isolated showers, and maybe at times a random thunderstorm or two. But you see how they're really trying to hold together as they try to sneak up to the north. This is going to be the overall trend to start the evening out, before everybody gets to enjoy another dry night ahead of us. Other than that, I'm not seeing a lot else happening across much of the 4-state region. So once we get past our little impulse of showers to start the evening out, that's a good indication of how the rest of the night will play out. Temperatures are still kind of up there, near 90 across much of the region. Feels like the mid-90s, thankfully, because of the humidity. That was a little bit lower. As far as the rest of the evening goes, we'll drop back through the 80s, down to 77 by midnight, eventually down to 73, Chris. We'll see if we can get out of the 90s anytime soon, coming up here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Anime and cosplay lovers came together on Saturday in Joplin. JomoCon, an anime convention, was streamed on Twitch, where different panels were presented at Pennington Station in Joplin. Panels included a gourmet instant ramen tutorial, commentary on anime, and more. While this was the first time JomoCon has been held, organizers say they hope to do more down the road.
I'm convinced that Joplin is full of otakus and nerds, or whatever you want to call them, just people who are really passionate about this kind of content we're doing. There's a lot of other events around here that have already been doing stuff like this for these people, and we just wanted to join that community, add to it.
The money raised from the event's live stream went towards Hearts and Hammers of Joplin, a nonprofit repairing homes for those in need. Jomo Pride Fest returned to Joplin for another fun-filled celebration of the local LGBTQ+ community. The event featured a ton of activities and attractions, including vendors, a pride march, drag shows, magic and comedy shows, a costume contest, and more. Today's hot, late summer weather didn't stop hundreds of four-staters from coming on out for a fun day filled with Pride-themed activities. And the fun's not over yet. Pride Fest continues tomorrow with a drag brunch featuring Miss Gay America and Miss Gay Missouri at the Blackthorn Pizzeria. Other Sunday highlights will include a Pride in the Park celebration at Landreth Park, a Pride pet costume contest, and even an outro dance party in the park. Well, fall is just around the corner and Pittsburgh is celebrating early. The Barn at Timber Cove hosted the 2021 Fall Festival in Pittsburgh. Admission was free for everybody with the theme to shop local businesses. The festival provides the opportunity for local businesses to show various crafts and foods to the community. With the ongoing pandemic, some vendors look to the festival to get new customers.
A lot of these vendors were extremely affected by everything that's been going on pretty much the past 2 years. So they had a lot of shows be canceled. There's a lot of people who have customers come back every time we have events out here. A lot of my vendors have been with me from the beginning, and I do get new vendors every show. So it's great for building their clientele and be able to see some of our community members come out and support other people.
The goodies and snacks were provided to attendees, and several food trucks were in attendance as well, such as Ghetto Tacos and Blue Spoon. Muter says there will be a holiday-themed festival coming up in December. The Pentagon released new details on the drone strike against ISIS-K militants in Afghanistan, and Taliban forces that now control the country have sealed off Kabul's airport to most Afghans hoping to evacuate. And the remains of the 13 U.S. service members killed in Thursday's airport attack are on their way home. CBS News correspondent Elise Preston has the latest from New York.
The Pentagon says 2 ISIS-K members were killed and 1 injured in a U.S. drone strike in Afghanistan's Nangarhar province.
In this strike, they lost a planner and they lost a facilitator, and they've got 1 wounded.
Defense officials have not said whether the 3 played a role in the deadly attack on the Kabul airport. The Defense Department released the names of the 13 service members killed in the suicide bombing at a perimeter gate. They included 11 Marines, 1 Army, and 1 Navy service member. Cheryl Marola's son Dylan was a Marine Corps Lance Corporal.
My son was over there helping people to come home, and he serves his country to the greatest of his extent and made the ultimate sacrifice for us.
After nearly 2 decades in Afghanistan, the U.S. plans to complete its withdrawal by President Biden's Tuesday deadline. On Saturday, the president issued a statement saying, in part, the situation on the ground continues to be extremely dangerous, and the threat of terrorist attacks on the airport remains high. Our commanders inform me that an attack is highly likely in the next 24 to 36 hours. In its waning days, the evacuation of American citizens and Afghans has slowed but continued Saturday, with about 1,400 people cleared for flights.
We have the ability to include evacuees on military airlift out of Afghanistan until the very end.
And in mid-air, an Afghan woman gave birth aboard an evacuation flight from Dubai to Britain. The cabin crew helped deliver the baby girl, said to be in good condition, and named Hava. Elise Preston, CBS News.
The Pentagon says since August 15th, when the Taliban swept into power, more than 117,000 people have been evacuating, including about 5,400 Americans. And we take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Bob Lane served in the Army during Vietnam, his hometown, Joplin. We're proud to recognize Bob Lane, tonight's four-state hero. Out of stock. Next on the KOAM News at 6, COVID home tests are in high demand, leading to a short supply. If you're having a hard time getting your hands on a COVID-19 home test, it's because they're in high demand right now. Abbott Laboratories says its supply of Binax Now at-home COVID-19 tests may be constrained in the coming weeks as demand has grown to unprecedented levels. An Abbott spokesperson says they've scaled up manufacturing since the highly contagious Delta variant became the dominant strain. On Friday, an online search for the self-test found them on CVS.com and Amazon, but the test appeared to be out of stock for online orders via Walgreens and Kroger. A monoclonal antibody treatment that was shelved because it wasn't effective against COVID at the time is now being brought back to the market. The U.S. paused distribution of Eli Lilly's dual monoclonal antibody treatment in June because it was ineffective against the beta and gamma variants, but studies are now showing the drug combination is surprisingly effective against the Delta variant. According to the CDC, the Delta variant accounts for nearly 96% of cases of COVID in the U.S. right now. With its return to market, doctors now have 3 different monoclonal antibody treatments to use in the fight against coronavirus. Although the 3 formulations are slightly different, they all can provide a kickstart to the immune system if used early in COVID infection. The latest on the flu vaccine and how long symptoms can last for COVID-19 survivors. Michael George has some of the week's top health stories.
Most patients who were hospitalized with COVID-19 had most of their symptoms resolve within 12 months. That's according to a new study in The Lancet looking at more than 1,200 patients from Wuhan, China. Still, about half the group reported experiencing at least one persistent symptom. The CDC recommends getting your flu shot before the end of October. A new report says this year, all flu vaccines available will be quadrivalent, meaning they'll protect against 4 different flu viruses. Health officials stress with COVID-19 and flu possibly spreading at the same time this winter, getting a flu shot may help reduce the stress on the healthcare system. And the number of adults suffering from high blood pressure has doubled worldwide over the past 30 years. A study in The Lancet finds more than 1.2 billion people are living with hypertension. The biggest increase was in low and middle income countries, and the majority of cases are untreated. Those are some of the week's top health stories. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Later in sports, the Chiefs are set to start the regular season in just 15 short days. We'll take a look back at their final preseason game.
But first, we do have a little relief in the heat on the way. We'll see how long that will stick around when we come back. It has certainly been a hot week overall, so let's take a recap of the month of August so far in terms of high temperatures while we're here. You can see how we went through a good portion of the month with a good string of days below normal. 14 of the last 28 days have been below normal, but not this week. We had to start with mid-90s last weekend, stayed mainly in the mid-90s all week, including today's high of 93 after we started out around 73 this morning. It is still a slight drop in temperatures compared to the past few days, but still hot enough and still humid enough that once we got past a mostly sunny start to the day, we did have some partly sunny skies, try to bubble up, a few showers, and maybe a random storm or two at times, but you can see how it's really hit and miss. More emphasis on miss rather than hit. But a quick tour of the radar shows maybe a couple showers around Nowata to the north especially, and getting to the south of Independence, maybe one north of Grand Lake, east of Miami, but anything really trying to hold together is on the Missouri side, but even that is kind of stretching it a bit. The only showers I see trying to hold on right now are on the western side of Table Rock Lake. Most of us, we're looking like the 7th and Range line right now. Pretty much partly to mostly sunny sky. Warm at the very least, 89 in Joplin, feels like 94 thanks to dew points sitting in the upper 60s. That's the same for much of the region. Upper 80s to some lower 90s at 617, but with the humidity, still feels like the mid, maybe a couple of upper 90s, but these are much better numbers compared to what we had to deal with throughout much of this week. In fact, the numbers keep on going down as we go through the rest of the evening. Down to 80 by 10 o'clock, 77 by midnight, and then we'll drop back to, I think, to 73 once again as we head into the overnight. So not a lot happening here, but the big weather story overall is Ida. Last check, this is a pretty beefy Category 2 hurricane with 105-mile-per-hour winds, and it is sad to see where Ida wants to go. Before it makes landfall in Louisiana, it wants to make landfall as a bare minimum Category 4 major hurricane. And not only that, on the 16th anniversary of when Katrina made landfall, we know how horrible that was for New Orleans and much of the Gulf Coast, so we'll be keeping an eye on this one especially. But in terms of where it goes for landfall, after it at least, it wants to stay mainly south and east of us, but it's going to try and keep some moisture around here as we go through Monday and Tuesday, especially moisture. That'll work with our next front, still parked to the north and west. For the time being, is keeping any severe weather chances so well to the north of us. And once again, we're going to see that front sink our way as the jet stream itself starts to sink in our general direction. So in the short term, we're looking okay for the evening. We'll have to start things out with a few showers. Again, Southern counties, maybe a few spots, but we look dry as we go deep into the overnight and certainly to start Sunday morning out. But then as that front edges closer from the north with the moisture that's still working in, we will have highs in the upper 80s for tomorrow, but we'll start to see more scattered storms during the afternoon. 73 in the morning, 85 by noon, afternoon highs right around 89 degrees. And depending on how these rain chances play out, I think in general, as long as this front's around all the way through Tuesday, most of us between a tenth to half an inch, but maybe a couple spots pushing over an inch if we can get some heavy pockets of rain to work in here. So thunderstorm chances a pretty good bet with our front working in for Sunday, Monday, and before it leaves on Tuesday. Thankfully, Chris, that keeps highs in the upper 80s for a nice change of pace. But once that front lifts back north, we're back to 92 on Wednesday and staying in the lower to middle 90s by the time next weekend gets underway.
Brief break from summer, and then it makes a very quick return.
Yeah, not over yet.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. Danny Terzer joining us now with sports. Only 15 days until the Chiefs begin the regular season. A little too long for some folks.
Yeah, I'm excited. But first, we'll take a look back at their final preseason game from Friday. Plus, the McDonald County Mustangs look to start their softball season on a high note. Highlights from their home opener coming up. High school softball in Missouri is underway. The McDonald County Mustangs open up their season at home. McDonald County hosting Quapaw to kick off their season. In the first, Nevaeh Dodson gets it through the gap for a 2-run single. Carly Cooper and Reagan Myrick score. Then bases loaded for Caitlin Townsend. She rips it in the corner. It stays fair. 2 more runs come across. The Mustangs put up 7 in the first. And Pitt State commit Madeline McCall lets nothing by today, and I mean that literally. She tosses a perfect game, 6 innings and 15 strikeouts. Later in the game here, Cooper ends this one early off the back wall for a triple. She scores off the error. The Mustangs win their season opener in shutout fashion, 10-0 over the Wildcats.
Honestly, I didn't even realize it was a perfect game until the end. I was just focused on pitching strikes, helping my team. I worked my butt off, and I've worked so hard this summer, and I'm just ready to go pretty far this year. I'm ready to get going.
The reigning state champs have waited an extra day to begin their football season. The Lamar Tigers begin their second season under head coach Jared B. Shore today. Lamar is hosting Springfield Catholic in their Week 1 matchup. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. We'll have highlights from the game right here at 10. Preseason action is wrapping up this week in the NFL. The Chiefs took the field at Arrowhead for their third and final game on Friday. Kansas City hosted Minnesota. Patrick Mahomes slings it over the top to Tyreek Hill for a 35-yard touchdown to start the scoring. Later in the first quarter, Mahomes' short pass to Travis Kelce, who falls into the end zone. Mahomes finishes 8 for 9 with 117 yards. Shane Buechele now for Kansas City. A perfect pass to Marcus Kemp for the score. Then Derek Gore grabs the pass behind the line of scrimmage. He'll take it 56 yards into the end zone. Chiefs win 28-25. Here's Patrick Mahomes on his thoughts on the O-line's progress.
It's gotten better each and every week. I think they've had an amazing preseason. I haven't got hit a lot. I don't think I really got touched today, and that just speaks to them and how they've been playing. They've done a great job, and they're getting better each and every week, so I'm excited for the season.
In Major League Baseball, Kansas City on the uptick as of late. The Royals have won 9 of their last 12. They are currently in the middle of a 4-game series out in Seattle. On Friday, the Royals came out on top after a 12-inning marathon. Tonight, it's Game 3 of 4. Salvador Perez and Whit Merrifield with home runs in today's game. The Royals are up 4-1 in the 9th.
So again, we say it all the time, but it is good to see those Missouri teams coming out on top. It's nice to see the Royals on a bit of a streak here.
Absolutely, and I just checked my phone, peeped down at it, and the Royals did win that one.
All right, some good news at the end of this. So, Danny, thank you. We're going to be right back. Danny, a final check of sports.
McDonald County, big win in their season opener today over Quapaw.
All right, Nick, final check of that toasty forecast.
Yeah, at least we're going to get a little bit of a break from the toastiness once we get past overnight lows near 73, I believe. We'll say upper 80s, 88, 89 degrees, thanks to partly sunny skies and more in the way of scattered storm chances. Well, we'll certainly take it, Chris.
Absolutely. Nick, Danny, thank you. And that's our time for now. Remember, we're always on at KOAMNewsNow.com and with that KOAM News Now app. Thanks for making us part of your night.
Salon service is